right, let's see. I wanted the same link will work.
What do you mean? For YouTube?
Yeah, which I think.
I mean, just I'm not sure. Just copy and just do the sticker. Anyways, we're back. If I'm burping, please let me know.
No, you're no longer burping, and I'm just pulling up my dashboard. Can you see Audemars Piguet on the screen?
Yes, two Audemars Piguets and a nice patina at 16570.
All right, so we are back in action,
We
and we're
lost
live.
our watchers. Pulley, come back. I'm not burping anymore. I took my medicine.
You ran Pooley away, and that's what happens. That's what happens.
This-
Anyway, so this was that little tantalum and steel one that we liked. 330,000 HKD, and that is 42,000 US dollar. With the premium, I don't think that's crazy. That's a fun watch.
Hey, Pulley. I guess I'm not
There we go.
no more acid reflux on my microphone. Thank God.
Jeez. You gotta take those thumbs.
It's
Remember
Prilosec
those
at this point.
commercials?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good times.
All right, we got a bust down.
Oh,
Remember this? 2.2 million Hong Kong dollars.
I feel so bad that somebody got hosed for this. I mean, you know what? If you're
I
out
mean,
there listening to this, I apologize, but this is a god awful watch. Rubies, I just don't get the color coordination because it's like you got a pink bezel, and then you decide, you know what, red indices. I just don't get the color coordination.
well, I'm sure in the right room, this really like goes crazy though. You got to work on it. The whole outfit, you need some good Cartier frames on. Um, I wouldn't go with the gaudiest chain, but you need at least a light Cuban, I think. And then I don't even know. I don't even know to be honest with
It's
you.
polarizing to see it next to the Daytona. Is that the Kasparov, the chess guy's Daytona? Which,
Which
to
one?
the left, to the left.
Is this the Kasparov?
No, maybe it's not, but nonetheless, that Daytona looks so much better and it's so much more plain. No, it's not. I'm mistaken that for a
Nah,
different one.
yeah, this is a tropical one.
But nonetheless, like less diamonds, less flashy, still so much better to me, personally.
All right, so you wouldn't pay 290,000.
290. Wait, how much did you? I thought you said it sold for 2 million. My bad. That was Hong Kong you were
Hong
talking
Kong
about.
dollars, yeah, and US dollars two
Ah,
hundred ninety thousand.
I mean, this to say that it's worth less than 200,000 might be hard just because of the diamonds and everything, but it's just not a pretty watch to me.
All right, okay, let's move on. Not for you.
I,
Not
I,
for
I
you.
think it sold for a decent price given the diamonds and everything you're getting.
Yeah, from what I saw, a lot of things here sold for decent prices. You know, nothing seems crazy soft. What about this open work? 1.2 million Hong Kong dollars. I wish it really let you change the
Yeah, I don't understand. Like you'd think that they'd be able to like make it
well, because
US
you're
dollars.
paying them in Hong Kong dollars, so they don't want to give you any chance to be like, oh well, I thought maybe US. I'll send you it in US dollars. And no, no, see, we want that in HKD, baby.
Okay.
This one for 153 with the premiums. I feel like that's getting soft as well.
Mm, Meep.
Car years look different.
What's going on, Amar? I'm Car. Sorry if I messed up your name, sir. First time here. What is the craziest watch you guys own? Oh man, I don't own any
I,
crazy watches, unfortunately. I just have an Apple Watch and my Omega Aquaterra. Now if you ask me the craziest watch I've held, now that's different.
right? Such a different. That's such a different question. For me, I don't have anything crazy either. I don't know what you call crazy. I have a painted wave dial Seiko mod, if that's crazy. But in terms of value, nothing too crazy. I got a Daytona, I got an Explorer and things like that. But I've held everything, right? I've held Grubels for $1 million. I've held Zorns. I've had the pleasure of touching some of the craziest watches in existence. But to take home, nothing too crazy. I don't know if I even have anything crazy. Well, I would have a bunch of Remain Jerome and stuff. So I would eventually I'll have some very crazy stuff in the collection.
I'll be living vicariously through you, CQ.
Yeah, it'll be great ride. It'll be great ride. Yeah, so nothing super crazy in terms of value. From what I've seen, like overall, things have went pretty solid. Nothing like super outside of the range. These brigades did pretty steady.
What's going on, Richard?
Oh, what's up, Richard? No fault at all. We were there were some technical difficulties. So you just missed a lot of
You just missed me
heartburn
burping.
action.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, right? Okay, this is an Urban Jurgensen. This is an old one. This
But
one
why they
went
do
over the
that?
retail.
Why they put the Urban Jurgensen next to the Brigades and they all look the same?
Well, oh, because it's the same type of client, right? The same type of client who jumped for Urban Jurgensen is going to jump for some of these neo vintage brigade. So I understand why they paired them together. I understand why you're saying that as well because aesthetically, it looks like a brigade,
So
right?
can you go to the prices for the two on the left, like the two, not the Tourbillon, but the two that have the similar looks? So the Urban Jurgensen sold for pretty much double or 2.5x what the Bergay did. So why wouldn't you just buy the Bergay since Urban Jurgensen kind of not ripped off, but took a lot of the stylistic elements?
Well, because this one is a calendar, so it's a more complicated watch. And when we say we have to be careful when we say they took the stylistic elements, right? Because if we go back to the period of when Brigade was making watches, all the watches kind of share a lot of the same features. Also, a lot of these brands and watchmakers are paying tribute to Brigade, like Daniel Roth, all of them. These are guys who are paying tribute to Brigade because what Brigade did for watchmaking, right? So you're always gonna find very similar looking things. Not all the time, but especially when you go into the indie world and things like that, you're gonna find a lot of similar looking pieces. So
So okay, so what if I don't care about the calendar aspect of it? Do you think that the Brigade is just a better buy?
yeah, cause this I like a chrono, right? So for a split chrono brigade, I would personally go for the brigade over the Urban Jurgensen because it's not something that really makes my heart beat. There are Urban Jurgensens that I like. I do like the Daytona statements, but this particular calendar layout is not my favorite. I'm sure if you look at the movement and everything, it's gonna be amazing. But my heart beats for Brigade a little bit more than it does for Urban Jurgensen right now. Even though Urban Jurgensen is poised to make a big comeback with Kyrie Vutulinen leading the charge. So this is a triple calendar chronograph.
Not a bad watch. I'm not a big fan of the lugs. The lugs are just a little.
Yeah, you gotta love
If
those
I
little
gotta pick,
buttons.
if I gotta pick something to nitpick, it'd probably be the lugs.
I think the Brigades did good. Beat the high end of the estimate. This one's almost double the high end of the estimate for that turb on the bracelet. I think Vintage Brigade has really seen some great steam, and a lot of collectors I talk to, that's a target that they're hitting. Just really collectible. You can really track the different eras of Brigade really easily, and they're just really good watches. If you love watchmaking, I think it's a great brand to collect, especially Neo Vintage Brigade. Modern Brigade is nice too, but you got to get a good discount because they're, as we see with all Swatch Group brands right now, they're lost in the water a little bit. Oh, look, you crashed, bro.
Not mine, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I thought I heard you're bidding on this one, huh? 1.6 million HK dollars, which is one, two, three, 210,000.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. I didn't expect this to go too crazy because it's a big gem set crash. And I don't think too many people are hunting those. I feel like if you wanted one of these and you already had a big profile with Cartier, you could probably make it happen. Elegante. Let's see what the titanium Elegante. Why didn't we buy all of these, man? Why didn't we buy every single last one that we touched?
Who would have known that a quartz watch would have created such a frenzy? You
Oh my
know,
gosh, 571,000 HK dollars, 73 thousand US dollars. Elegantes are back all of us. What's going on? This is going higher than a title light. I sold a title light for 50 something, like a month ago. Wow, Elegantes are coming back. Jordan as a whole is seeing a real strengthening. I'm not sure exactly what's pushing it, but to see an Elegante at auction, that's just a normal titanium 48 going for the 70s. That really shows that that market is not slowing down at all. As you go into some other Jordans that has some good showings as well. Both beat their top end of the estimate. I just love this tourbillon. I think that one for a decent price, 3.5 million HK, which is
Was that the breast movement?
was it?
I feel like there
Yes, it was.
was.
Yes, it was.
Eh,
This one for about 450,000, which makes sense for a good turb with a nice little patina, brass movement, early turb, 450. I thought that was good. And then a black label Resonance showing that the Resonance is still very, very collectible. 4.5 million HK dollars or 457.
that's nuts. It's sold for more than the Turb. Is it just because
Yeah,
it's boutique only? Like the black label
exactly.
aspect? Gotcha.
So this is 583,000 with the premium black label restaurants. A lot of people try to put together black label collections, and it's still just very, very collectible watch. And as I said, Jorn has been going very, very strong on the market. You're not seeing too many of them out there in Chrono 24, especially like special pieces. So I think it's definitely, if you're interested in Jorn, it's still a good time to buy. I think the ceiling is still far away, and there are a lot of strong drone collectors who are still very passionate about the brand. And if you're seeing Elegantes going for what they're going for, you know that things are still going, on the up and up. Then we have Ludwig Ballard. You like this one?
Yeah, it was different. I don't know, depending on what it sold for. I don't know if I like it for 762 Hong Kong dollars, but
So seven sixty
thousand.
two. So 97,000 US dollars, so just under 100,000. Good result for this. I don't know the exact retail, but these have been doing really good in auctions, like really good, selling around 100, 100 and change. So people are supporting the brand, and I just love this meteorite dial. So I thought this was a really nice one to pick up. With this, I was having a conversation with one of my collectors. How with this brand, it's really about the dial that you're being presented. They do a bunch of different variations, but I think you need to like really enjoy the dial that you're being presented with. Starry Sky, that's always a soft one. MBNFs, the red LM101 that beat its high estimate, but the others little soft, just high estimate. So MBNF still performing, but not doing crazy, crazy well. Then we had some neo vintage paddock, and it just again, people are coming back, in my opinion, to collectible paddock pieces on leather straps, perpetual counter chronos, 3940s, things like that. Look at the clock that we talked about. That even went over its estimate. And that sold for 30,000, about 31,000 US dollars. This beautiful 3971 that took home 388,000 at the premium. Nice solid result. Is this one Italian?
Something in English, that's for sure.
I think it's Italian. And then the 5004 G Seal that did pretty well. Two, three, five.
I mean, but that's expected, no? Like you expected these pieces to kind of go over the high.
Well, so it's a back and forth thing, right? Because you always wonder who's doing the buying, and so what we're seeing here is that savvy collectors are still buying in the auction market. That new wave of independent buyers, they seem to be in and out. When you're seeing like things like Dibitune kind of do a little bit softer, and some of the independents not as strong as you're seeing, but a lot of people keep saying, oh, paddock watches on a strap, they're gonna go down in value just because you're seeing like a more modern paddock on the strap go for under retail like a 5146 calendar, but there's still super collectible pieces in the Patek Philippe family, and people are spending big money on auction. They are still hunting, the old school collectible brands and collectible models as well. Look at this 5970R over its high estimate. So just very, very strong results coming out of there. Let's kind of skip through. Oh, the a little Omega ring, the Omega set.
Did that sell for over what they thought it would?
Overestimate, but let's do some dollars here. 177 8 22,600. I would have paid that.
Yeah, remember the issue is the bracelet with this one. That's what we were just like, this who is,
Oh yeah.
and you're not gonna be able to get links for this. But I mean, like, yeah, still very cool, very artsy,
For
nice.
22 grand, you get the ring, you get the cufflinks. Come on. It won't fit you, but it looks cool.
Put it in the museum.
Yes, exactly. Imagine if they bought it for the museum. All right, we got 3700 jumbo. That went right under the estimate. Let's do that. 1.3, 1.4 million HK dollars. And new vintage sports paddock seems to be doing pretty decent too.
I mean, do you expect these to sell for over their hammer price? Like, is the day of the Nautilus slowly coming to an end, or do you think like it's never going to end? You think the Nautilus is always going to be this that coveted piece from Paddock, that sports coveted piece?
I don't know. That's a very tough question. I think there's so many people who've paid such huge amounts for their Nautilus pieces that it will always be in that realm. And now it's when I started in the game, the Nautilus wasn't that entry level into like high life society. It is now. It was more so like an expensive fun watch, right? Like the fun watch you got from Paddock. But it was never like, oh my gosh, I see you with a Nautilus, and I'm like, oh, you have such a big collection. That would be the 5004s, the 5970s, the more complicated pieces. The Nautilus was like, oh, okay, you like Paddock, you have a great piece, you have good taste. If you have like a rose gold aquanaut or stuff, awesome, right? You have great taste. So it elevated from that into something that, because the values went so crazy, and the exclusivity turned into something else, that it became something of like a social key into certain rooms, right? If I have a knowledge on, that means either I'm spending big money, or I'm super savvy, or I know people that you might want to know. So it's elevated itself into a different place. The same with like FP Journe, right? It's elevated itself beyond just a watch, and almost like it's a symbol of status, but beyond wealth, of also just your taste and your values a little bit as well. So these watches are now turning into much different things. While of course people who truly appreciate the watches and horology, they're there. But a lot of people who have Nautilus on their wrist right now only have them on their wrist because somebody else told them, or they thought it would help them move a different way in the waters that they're swimming.
That makes sense. It's the same reason why people probably wear Rolexes in certain situations, just to, if you know, you know. I'm in
For
the
sure,
I'm in the circles.
it helps. It helps if you can, it helps if it helps as an icebreaker, right? If you have, like Amkar was saying, a crazy watch on, depending on what it is, you got like this beautiful AP minute repeater. I'm gonna talk to you for 2 hours if I see this on your wrist, because I just think this is such a fun, cool piece.
Well, it's like what they say when, people I've watched some videos about like dating advice, and like they'll be like, make sure that you're wearing something that's like something to talk about. And it gives you a reason to have a conversation. So like, of course, one of these watches, especially forget dating. If you're in business, you wear a very cool FP Journe, AP, or something like that. Another business person is going to be like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" And ask the question. So 100% correct. It is a easy icebreaker and a way to have a conversation and connect with people.
How about this AP went for 68,000, including the premium AP? I want to say it's a jump hour minute repeater. I think that's a really good price. I think somebody got a steal there.
Yeah,
If it's not too tiny.
the problem, it goes back to like who's gonna want a square AP. Like it's got to be a real AP lover. You're niching yourself down. Even though it's a nice looking watch, it's just like I think JLC when I look at it firsthand.
I wouldn't blame you for thinking that. Let's look at this perpetual calendar. 71, 700,000. Oh wow. So 90,000 US dollars for 25680. So that's a semi modern. So the AP's floating down. Be careful what you are chasing, guys.
I mean,
If you're the
would you tell people to be hesitant on buying precious metal APs depending? Because I already would tell people stay away from ceramic if you can. But would you say it would be smart to be cautious of precious metal APs?
I, I think so. I think all APs right now. I think they're in quicksand and they're slowly sliding down. I think if you're gonna go into there's nothing wrong with going to a precious metal AP, but if you're gonna go into a high value AP, anything closer to six figures or over, you really got to think about how long are you going to keep that piece in your collection? What is it going to take to exit out of your collection if you want to get move it and trade out of it? And I think right now, I don't know too many people who are chasing APs, right? Especially big ones. So I think you got to really think about it. You got to really think about it. That's for sure. Oh wow, I think they got this turb at a steal. 482,000 HK dollars. Oh, this is nice.
But what
Sixty-one
makes you
thousand US
feel
dollars.
that they got it for steal? The like
That's
the power that's in the watch because it's an ugly watch, dude. That is an
I'm
ugly
well.
watch.
It's ugly to you, but if you like that VC multi case, I don't know if this is a multi case, but if you like
It
that
is.
case,
It's
you
the
like a big
guilloche
tourbillon.
between the indices. I don't like that. Like I feel like that just is too much of a contrast. Like we already have the open tourbillon, and then you're creating this additional like depth between. It just does too much. I think that if it was a sleeker dial that had the open tourbillon, it would have worked. But there's just too much like depth and too much layers in that watch that like it just makes it look unattractive. Because I'm with you. I like the case style. I don't think the tourbillon's ugly. It's just the
That's nice.
indice ridges is just like I do not like it.
All right, I could feel you there. I could feel you there. Look at all these brigades, by the way. So this one didn't do too good. Then you had the calendar that went in the middle, and then you had this beautiful perpetual calendar minute repeater. This at the lower end of the estimate. Still a great watch, but I think it's a
Well,
minute repeater perpetual. There's a lot going on there. You have to really love
minute
this
repeaters,
watch.
isn't it the whole thing like the sound it makes? I remember George talking about like the differences in like quality of sound you can get from depending on the brand. And it's like it just you might correct me if I'm wrong, is Brigade known for their minute repeaters? You're probably gonna tell me yes. And I'm probably gonna be just blown away.
I don't think so particularly. Because like Paddock is known for their mini repeaters. AP is known for having really good sound in mini repeaters as well. I'm not sure if Brigade is known for it. I think the person who's collecting this just wants to have like a grand complication for Brigade. Now I might be wrong, and Brigade might have legendary mini repeater sounds, but I just off the top of my memory, I can't remember a collector like really harping to me on a Brigade mini repeater, but I do have guys who harped on me for Paddock mini repeaters and AP mini repeaters and like Chelsea mini repeaters as well. But I think somebody who's going after this is somebody who really is like having a completionist collection or just really enjoys grand comps. But I think 760 HK dollars. I think this was a decent price. It's around 97,000. Like so, buy this or buy like a brand new Brigade Grand Comp. That's probably gonna be like 2 or 300,000. I get this all day.
Well, you could just get a paddock. And that's the issue that people face.
And that is a big issue, my friend.
So what? What is the answer? Do they reduce their retail price so that they can start to? It always goes back to like what we had talked about last week, where it's like in order for you to save your brand, it's really on the pre-owned side. It's got you have to have assurance that as soon as I buy this, it's not worth $0. But also, it's like it has to be an enticing price. And like you said, why would I buy a new watch for more that's not doing as much? So, like, what's the answer to say brigade? Is it lower your retail to make sure that they have a
You
secondary
have
market?
to. You have to. All the brands need to lower retails, and like a lot of people don't want to hear that, but like there's a big Instagram account. I don't think you follow him, and it's Horology Ancien, I believe. I forgot how you pronounce it, but it's a father and son duo, and they're on Instagram, and they answer all questions all the time and give you real in-depth questions and pictures. And they were doing a Q&A over the week, and multiple times he talked about him not getting the rapid increase in retail pricing. And a great point he made is that brands saw what was going on in the secondary market. They wanted to capture that, and to capture that, they increased their retail pricing. But what happens is the secondary market then deflated, and now the gap. Before there was a reverse gap in like retail is this, primary is this, now secondary is this, secondary is this, and whatever. Now secondary is this, retail is this far, and the brands don't know how to reverse themselves, right? Because you're kind of stuck. You already raised the pricing, but now the buyers in the market, they're buying off of value. So you can't tell anybody to get a brigade at retail because secondary you're so much cheaper. You're gonna need a heavy discount. So the issue the
So,
brand go ahead.
well, if you were in the marketing team for Reggae, and you clearly can't just come out and say, hey, we're slashing prices because we weren't priced correctly, how do you go about reducing your prices across the board that they need to without making it seem like the brand was never worth what they were asking for it?
So what I would do is a trade-in program, and to me that's the easiest way to discount a watch without discounting a watch, right? And you say, hey, if you trade in a Brigade or another Swatch Group product in, I'll give you like a really premium trade-in value versus the retail watch of the Brigade, right? And behind the scenes, I will mark down the Brigade and like do, I will discount behind the scenes, but in front of the customer, it looks like I'm just doing them a great service in value in their piece. I
So,
think that's the best way.
so you're saying that technically you can't really move the sticker price. The sticker price is what it is, and without ruining the face, the visual like idea of the brand, that so you have to do it behind closed doors, is what you're saying. There's no way to reverse what has been done.
No, because the problem is Brigade is a group brand. So if Brigade does it, that means Omega is also gonna have to like bring back their retail pricing. So everything's too spider webbed. And
But
again,
I
a
feel
lot of
like that doesn't make that much sense because if Tudor wanted to reduce its prices, it doesn't mean that Rolex has to.
no, but then it gives somebody the argument to say like, why isn't Rolex reducing their pricing?
Because the market demand. I'm confused
Uh,
because
You,
isn't it that the market dictates pricing, right? No, I'm having a
No,
conversation about it.
so that's the thing, right? That's the fantasy. The fantasy is that the market dictates the pricing. In reality, the brands are just dictating the pricing. They're using whatever multiplier versus their cost, and that makes up their pricing. And this used to make a little bit more logic, but then since COVID, the pace of the price increases just went kind of wacky and too crazy. So now you can't, right? Because if you reduce pricing, you need to explain logically why you reduce the pricing.
Yeah,
So
because
the
people have
only
been paying too much for the last 2 or 3 years, and then you have a bunch of people who are
exactly.
upset that they've been paying a premium, and they might even come and be like, "Hey,
Exactly. And you can't say it's because I'm not selling enough, right? That's not a good excuse, right? If I paid 100,000 to you yesterday and today you have it on sale for 80,000, so you can't go to me and say, "Oh, sorry, CQ, I'm just not selling enough." Because then it immediately devalues your brand. Immediately tells me I'm no longer doing business with you, or it makes me as a consumer want more value, or you got to give me some money back. It's this domino of effects that happens, and so that's what's going on with these brands right now. Is like the prices are so high, the demand is low. A lot of these brands have forgotten honestly how to sell watches, and consumers are smart. They're savvy. They don't need to. Why do you need to spend on a Brigade? Why? When you could just wait, you could reach out to CQ at cqthewatchguy.com, get one at a discount, or you could go to Chrono 24, or you could probably just walk into a Brigade dealer and shake them down, and they'll give you 15 off, right? And a lot of these brands are going to be or already in the same situation, right? Article just came out that the exports are up 150,000%. Excuse me, 150% for last month because it's everybody rushing all that inventory in the market. So they rush that inventory in, then they increase the retail pricing. Who's buying these watches? If it's not Rolex, it's not AP and Patek. Who's running to buy a Breguet at an increased retail price right now
But that's what I'm
without a discount?
confused about. So like it's almost like some people are in a trade war with Rolex and Patek when they should know their lane and just maybe stay. Like, why is it that you want somebody else? You're playing blackjack, right? Everybody's playing blackjack. We're all playing blackjack, and everybody sees their first cards, and they saw that Rolex takes a hit, and they have 18, and they still take a hit. I don't get it. Why not stay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not Swatch and Richmond stay at their pricing, let Rolex Patek continue to increase so that they can finally get, you know what I'm saying, to where they belong. Because the brands that are selling are going to continue to increase their prices. So then why not just stay where you're at? Uh, Or is that not an
I don't know.
option? I'm asking you. Like, is that an
I,
option? Is an option to stay at the same price so that they can eventually catch up?
yeah, why not? Of course, like certain base level costs increase, right? Like during COVID, one real excuse is like supply chain increases. So certain parts and certain things that definitely went up. Oh wait, sorry, someone
But
just went.
but you could say that, especially because we're talking about Brigade Omega. Now, if you're talking about, the lower end of the spectrum, maybe the Tisos, the Mitos, and stuff like that, there is a lot less of a gap, but I am confident that the Omegas and Brigades we can keep the price at a stagnant price for a few years, and the profit margins won't be that affected, especially since they're going to discount them anyways. Like, I don't think that people are buying Omegas unless, like, besides the Speedmasters, like, you're getting Aquaterra at 15 off, 20 off. You're getting the Planet Oceans at 15, 20 off. You're getting the Railmaster at 10, 15 off, in my opinion. So it's like, why not just keep the pricing the same so that you don't cause this confusion?
I agree with you. I think there has to be some type of reason behind the scenes beyond like supply chain and all that stuff. But it might be that some brands just saw the profit that was being made and decided that, hey, we should be able to jump onto it. And remember, during that COVID period, a lot of brands were getting a lot of love because a lot of people couldn't get your Rolex, your AP, your Patek, and even your Tudors people couldn't get. So a lot of brands saw a lot of volume that they haven't seen in a long time, and I think a lot of people really thought the balloon was never gonna burst, and they thought that this was the new normal. It became the new normal for a brand like Rolex. It became the new normal for a brand like Patek Philippe. But as Tudor is showing, with 30% loss year over year, and other brands are showing that is really not the case. Consumers are more savvy than ever. They're more value focused than ever, and you really got to earn their business. And I think it was a mistake for a lot of brands to keep the increases going. And now you're seeing when pieces are released, they're just like, is like every brand is like a $15,000 watch, $20,000 watch. So the entry level Rolex is up. And then so when you go into your Pateks, your APs, your things like that, the prices are just, you're starting at 35, you're starting at 30,000. You go into independence, you're starting at six figures, and you're like, okay, so I'm gonna dump six figures, and I don't even know if you're gonna be around in 4 to 5 years. Who's gonna buy these watches? And I think a lot of this is gonna fall back in on the industry because a lot of people are trying to liquidate watches to get into other watches, and a lot of dealers are not buying or it's soft. And I think that's really gonna fall back on the whole industry, and the secondary market will survive. That's what it does. It's ever evolving. The primary market, I think we see a lot of brands get hurt, and I think I'm watching the Swatch group because I think they should have took that outside investor as a board member. I really think some outside voice, at least on Brigade, because you seem like a Brigade fanboy. You could have seen some positive motion there.
Well, I think that both Richmond and Swatch are both echo chambers at this point, and it just feels like there's no intuitiveness going on within those brands, and unless you can tell me otherwise. Like, I the moon swatch is the most intuitive thing that Swatch has done because they found like a little niche of making a cheap Omega that kind of fits everybody's boxes. But Richmond, like, what have they done that's interesting in the last 5 years?
Uh,
Not
man,
to
that's the
put you on the
thing, you
spot,
know.
but that's the
No,
thing
no, like,
exactly. Echo chambers. It's
like
just a
no,
bunch of
what
people
was
in here like, oh yeah, we're doing great. We're doing. It's like, are you?
you know, long it started to cook up a little bit. VC was,
I
doing
forget Longa is
strong. Yeah,
Richmond.
so that's the thing. Richmond is a little bit different, and they also have Cartier. So what are we talking about? So the
Wait,
thing with
Richmond is
Rich,
Cartier? Oh
Richmond's
wow.
Cartier, yeah. So it's like they
Oh.
have
They
you
have
have
some winning
Cartier,
brands.
exactly. So they're in a much different situation. We love to see the brands operate a little bit differently, but it's much more different than like when we're talking about what Swatch has and what they're offering and why they could use an outsider voice to maybe shake some things up, for sure. Let's look at these watches so we can run them down. The beautiful 5170R, one for decent. This 3970 EG, which is a very special piece. This one for 718,000 US, 712,000 US with the premium. Again, showing that important watches are doing very well and they're performing greatly. Here we go to this is an interesting row because you have Jorn, which is the proven rock star. You have Dibitune. This is the guy who's touring all the not what's under arena stadiums, whatever. Touring a lot of smaller venues, getting the names out there. You have some hits though, and then you have Crayon, a smaller independent, who is proven to be this amazing watchmaker and definitely going to be a rock star. Let's look at how they all performed on the market. First, we're going to talk about the rose gold octochrono, 1.7 HKD, beat the estimate of a million HKD by quite a bit, and 1700000. So 216,000 with the premium, which I think is a solid price for this one. Now the Debutune. So this is a Grand Blue, my favorite model because it lights up, and this is the John Player Special Edition. And this one for 698,500 HK dollars. So this is about 89,000 USD, which is under retail for this one. So we're watching Dibitune. Dibitune is definitely a brand that I wouldn't sell them right now if you're holding a bunch. I would trade them if you're interested in doing a trade or something like that. But we definitely want to see the floor find itself for DBs on the auction market, in my opinion. And then we have this crayon, which went for 200,000. And like this is an insanely complicated watch. I can't explain it all here, but just beautiful watch. And again, independence that people are hunting for are still doing well. I think some brands like Dibitune and MBNF and things like that are still a little bit weak. But again, we need a little bit more examples to see what's going on there. And then nothing crazy on this side. Laurent Ferrier, great pickup on the auction market, in my opinion. My favorite watch, Google Forsey Double Balenciaga.
Oh
Sold for a
wow.
decent price.
The Richard Meal Killer barely beat its top line.
Hey, it's still an RM killer. You're still an RM killer in my book. So this one for 226,000 with the premium. So
Grupo
retail
Force
under, but
is J. Cole. It's like it's like, hey, I'm the best, and like I can show you how I'm the best, but like nobody really cares. He is the best. Grupo Force is amazing.
I
It's just like, no, no, and there's a lot of people who really love rap who care that J. Cole's the best, but we're all here for Kendrick and Drake, Richard Mille and Paddock.
haters. All right, here's another special pack 3970E. And again, these are just performance super strong.
It's a thick boy.
Yeah, thick boy. 3 million. How did I do my 30?
Damn, she thick. I just you could just tell. What does the E stand for? I always get confused when I see letters that I'm not familiar with in there.
I Let's look into it because I think I know
Because
the answer, but I'm gonna say it wrong.
J is yellow gold, G is white gold, P is platinum. What is E?
No, E has to do with the.
Is that the case metal?
I think it's a case, but I think E is for solid case, but
Ooh.
wait, now I need to.
Does it
They
come
always
with the
come with
additional
stubby.
case back? Does it have the additional case back? It's not worth all the money if it doesn't have the additional case back. Is it one of those?
Yes. Okay. E. Oh, see, I should always go with my answer. E stands for etanche, which means waterproof, and that's why it has that screw down case back. I knew it. I knew it meant etanche. Why did I always second guess?
Oh, does the case back come off? But it's not meant to come off. Like there's not a seat. Like, it's
The,
not a 100 case back, is what I'm asking, I guess.
exactly. No,
Gotcha.
there's not 100 case back. It's meant to be like a water resistant, um,
With chronographs.
perpetual counter chrono. But if you ever take that in the water,
That,
yeah,
I never understood why a chronograph would be water resistant. Like it's just. Anyways, nice watch.
I agree. This also did well. Paddock 96 with a beautiful black dial. So the 96 is like the OG collectible Calatrava. So a lot of people hunt these 96s. The high
Looks
estimate was
nice.
240,000 HKD, 622 HKD is
Uh,
what this ended up selling for.
Not bad.
Not bad at all, 622.
Now, is the Luis Audemars, is that from before Audemars and Piguet got together?
Yeah, this would be from way before. It didn't have that crazy of a result either.
Man, Audemars ain't doing that well without Piguet, man.
Well, you need them both together, right? Then we have some nice vintage Paddocks. You have a 130 beautiful Salmon Dial Chrono. It's tiny, but I don't care. I still rock that. Close to the high end of the estimate of 800,000 HKD. Then we had this reference 1579 Spider Lugs. Look at the lugs on this thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see what they mean.
I love the lugs on that. And that went for 1.1 million HKD. So 1143,000, 145,000. I want them to bring these lugs back. I really like that. I'm a chrono guy, though. I know these aren't for you. Let's move. And we got a pre Daytona 6238. Went for a milli. So those still seem to be good. All right, Tiffany and Co stamped went under the high estimate of 1.3 million. So we're seeing that the pre Daytona well exceeded the estimate of 400,000 HK.
Because it actually matters. Like, oh, I have a Tiffany stamped Daytona. It's like,
Yeah, and I think right now it's so like I wouldn't me personally before I bought something that had like a Tiffany stamp that was vintage, I would need like 100 different guys plus Periscope to give me the green light. I think this like and of course I don't know the particular. I'm not a vintage expert by any means, so I wouldn't tell you like in a normal market what sells more. But I think in today's market, I go for something like this, which I feel is like easily verifiable. It is what it is versus something where I gotta get Periscope involved. It becomes a whole thing. 129,000 US dollars. All right, now let's skedaddle down. I'd rock this Pave.
is it even 40 millimeters though? It's like
Nah,
36.
that's 36. You could rock a 36.
I could rock a 36. Can you rock a 36?
If I try really hard, I can. My favorite world timer, the Singapore edition 5930G, beat its estimate as well. So even special modern Patek Philippe is beating their estimates, proving why it is still one of the most collectible brands. 82, and that went for 105,000 US dollars. Not bad with the premium. I think I knocked that down. But this was the big boy of the day. Oof. I have this video, but it's not the best quality. I'll see if I can clean it up. So the 5970p, that's year 13 with these amazing red indices, 10 million HK dollars. So that is 130, 1.2, almost 1.3 million dollars. Well, money well spent, I think.
And you said, what did they probably purchase the watch at originally? Was it in the hundreds?
Yeah, let's call it, I don't know, let's call it 200. It's probably under, or
So they
maybe
got
under.
like a 5x on their investment, essentially.
Yep, yep.
Not bad.
Never opened it. Safe queened it into profit.
Not often does that happen, so that's a win.
Then, and I imagine, but you gotta imagine like all the money they spent in their spend to get something like this. This probably just helps a little bit of a call black, not too much.
Do you think the blue on that Nautilus is similar to the Japanese Aquanaut? Like, do you think that that's a similar light blue?
I think this is more shimmery. This is a little bit more reflective, and I think
Hmm.
that blue on that Japanese Aquanaut is a bit more of a powder blue.
Gotcha.
And these all kind of pretty much came close to their estimates as well. And then more paddocks, 5800, 5712, my favorite. 825. I don't understand why you'd buy at market 105,000 US dollars with the premium. So going around market price, nothing crazy to see there. Some APs, nothing crazy to see there. 50th anniversary AP rose gold on the right. $58,000 with the premium. Back to reality. How much do you think we've had these priced at the old spot in the peak? Close to 90, right? On the
Yeah.
shot.
But then, like, let's not talk about how we let things sit at ridiculous pricings, not realizing that the market was getting soft. So many times I was supposed to sell a watch that we were like, oh no, no, we have somebody who's interested. And we walked because of 4 grand, and then we ended up selling the watch for under cost 3 months later. The AP market really pissed me off because it came and it went as fast as a 21-year-old's love.
Yeah, be like that. Look at this bronze though. That only went for 13,700. These
Never
used to
understood
be
why bronze was it's
well,
bronze.
cause it's just Panerai and like the first bronzer was a big thing. So then the ones that came out after were big as well.
Oh,
But the
is that
original
natural
bronzers were like
patina? Or did they fourth patina? Did they put it in salt water? Oh God, I
they got
hate.
they got crack crack egg on it.
Is that really the patina? Jesus, I just don't get it. Like, it takes a certain type of person that really loves those bronze watches, and like they're cool looking, but then like you had the bronze, was it the Tudor? Oh my God. And they're just
Oh yeah,
like, I
that
don't
one.
understand why. Look, it's like, it's bronze, brother. What did you think you were getting here?
People don't understand the patina. Look at all these. Look at robberies. This is a row of robberies. These are all piece unique watches, right? They're all only watch piece unique watches. This Harry Winston, 14,500 for a piece unique one of one. This Piaget, this actually got a little bit of money. 24,300. Again, one of one will never be purchased again. And then this Moser actually went 2 7 35,600. This is insane. Again, not everybody loves these watches, but if you love unique pieces, if you love exclusive watches, like somebody just added some great pieces
The
to
thing
their
is,
collection.
it's just like, okay, they're the only watch, and you're the only person that ever wanted them. That's the thing, you know. Like besides the Moser, I could see just because it has some like it has some marketability. The other two, the Harry Winston, ugh, There's a reason why they only made one of these, Sequan. Oh my God, that Jacob and Co.
I know, right? I'm just staring at that Jacob and Co. and just thinking, like, I don't think I have the chutzpah to try to sell that to somebody.
The Vulcane looks like somebody took acid and they said, you know what, we're gonna paint the craziest portrait and then put it on a watch.
Yeah,
No, no, no. The
I mean, like,
IWC, I like the Andre Noir a lot. Actually, that's the one of the only watches that I like.
oh, tribute to Nico. Interesting. Yeah, yeah,
That's the thing about that only watch aspect is like you're either gonna get something that's super cool that like a lot of people can like really enjoy, or it's literally made for one other person in this world besides the person that designed the watch. Like, oh God, some of these are atrocities. Ah, look, a vagabond,
yeah.
bitch.
Vagabond Dodge 2. Look
Uh,
at that. Almost double the estimate.
I mean,
I know a
like
lot
this.
of people.
Oh, you look at a Joran and it went over its estimate. Like, okay, and it's the sun is shining in Florida. Tell me something I don't know.
Oh no, because there was a second where it seemed like it was getting a little soft. 356,000. Wow, 356. You remember when I sold a set of 1, 2, and 3 for under $300,000?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
Oh man! All right, so let's wrap. We're almost done here, guys. Debutune Starry Sky RM 6701 with the Pave Diamond. So this is their newer, like, entry level, right? The 6701. I don't know if you'd like it with the diamonds. And then we have a Maitre du Temps by Kyrie Vuitton and Andres Scheller. This one was a robbery, and somebody asked me about this one. I should have told them to jump on the auctions. I'm just so scared with all the tariffs and everything. 38 grand, under 40 grand with the premiums for the Maitre du Temps. For what this is a really, really good price. The Starry Various underestimate 56,700. So I think that's under retail as well. Well, it's a little soft right now. Then we got nice little Moritz Grotzman. Another crayon. Let's see. Didn't do overestimate, but right on it. I
The
love the
other
spacing.
crayon looks better in my opinion, personal
The other one was really nice. And then
opinion.
there's a green one that's really, really fire as well. Salmon Dial, Rose Dial, Centigraph eviscerated that low end estimate of 960,000 HK dollars, went for 3.3 million HK dollars, which is three,
That gross man
421,000
looks
US
gross,
dollars.
man.
The pictures don't do it justice. I think in person this probably looks really good, but I don't think nothing you could do could help with the legibility of this particular watch.
Said what I said, and I've seen them make some decent watches. That's why I said it. Like
Yeah,
that is,
they,
it is a tribute to its namesake, gross man. I'm sorry.
they should have used something on the hands there. That's very tough.
Like what in like? I'm sorry that they made a nice piece of art, but the usability of that watch is zero.
They need like some orange hands or some gold hands or something.
They should hire you. Help them out with
Hey,
that.
CQTheWatchGuy.com. I consult for businesses too. Let's look at some longest. Holding steady. The the double split. Oh wow, 533 HK dollars.
I like their black dials a lot, even
68
though
grand
that silver
US.
dial with the blue indices is very nice. That you don't see that
This has
often.
always been good. The boutique edition has always been nice. So you got 5,000, 5204. That one under the estimate. It's interesting. One to five. Around 200,000, 202,000. Makes sense. Nothing too crazy. And then we got the rollies. We got nice Sodalite Daytona.
Why did you think that the Zeit work had 1010 not 1111? Is that like is 1010 a stronger number in Hong Kong? Because 1111, that's like the
No,
strongest.
well, because you remember the watchers are doing 1010.
Oh,
To make the watch smile, it's 1010.
but
So
that's
that's
what it
always 1010.
is. Too
Yeah,
bad the Zeit work doesn't have hands, so it doesn't work.
exactly. So you gotta do 10-10.
Boo. 11-11 next
Oh,
time.
oh, look at the ice bust down. How much did the bust down go for? 123. All right,
Mm.
somebody paid up.
Hmm.
All right, let's see what else special did we have here. Really nice Vacheron skeleton tourbillon beat its estimate. Very nice. Daniel Roth beat its estimate as well. 5131 under the estimate. Wow. 105,000. So these have, yeah, they've come all the way back down. A lot of paddocks in this auction, and all of them sold. And sold pretty decent. Oh, this is a beautiful VC. We didn't see this one before.
I feel like we skipped over it. I think that we've had a similar model, not this exact, but we had
That's
something
nice.
similar in stock. See, but you see how there's a contrast in the hands, like you were
Yes,
saying.
you actually see what's going on.
Not a big fan still, just because it's like way too much going on, but like you could at least get an idea of what time it is.
Yeah, for 85 grand, that's a great watch.
Platinum, yeah.
Yeah, platinum, hand engraved. Oh, Chapek. 127.
Chepek is Russian, correct?
No, it's I believe Polish because it's part of Paddock, Chapek Paddock C.
Mm, gotcha.
I believe
It's part of Paddock, like part of the brand.
yeah, way back, way back. 16,200. These have softened up on the market as well. All right, anything crazy? Ooh, we got some crazy pieces here. I love this gyro tourbillon. Would you buy any of these watches at any price?
You know the answer to that question. We're not saying bad things today. We're being a good boy.
Yeah, 130. I grab this. This jealousy.
The Cartier is, yeah. Okay. What else do we got?
Oh, but that was just a steal. 29,000. Cartier Ballon Blue Turb. That's a good price.
Yeah.
Okay, not for
Ballon
you.
Blue is kind of like not even like that's the like the line I think of last for Cartier. Like I think of so many other models before I think of the Ballon Blue. And it's funny because the Ballon Blue is their one circular watch. But it's like I'd rather get every other shape from Cartier than the Ballon Blue. And oh my God, that is such ugly lugs. I hate the lugs on this.
The lugs are bad, but everything else about this is so dope.
I do not agree with that statement, but we're going to be very nice and just keep it to lugs for me.
But listen, for
It's
81,000
legible.
US dollars, right? It's a tourbillon, it's a mini repeater, Christophe Claret.
Bro, okay, so like I don't doubt that the Harry Winston probably does make a decent watch, a minute repeater, just because they make good jewelry and stuff, and it says cathedral gongs, but it's just like no,
It's an
this
amazing watch. You'll never be able to make any money with it or like sell for any value, but like it's an amazing watch.
I don't even think you could wear that watch. The lugs just don't look like they'd be comfortable unless they
No, it's
conform to
comfy.
your wrist or something. I don't know. I take back what I said. We had that paddock. We never had the Vacheron. I think we actually
Yeah, we've had this paddock a few times.
it looks
Oh, within
similar.
market.
But that paddock has that issue because the hands were the same color as the damn engraving.
You just gotta look hard.
That's what she said.
Oh yeah, this is the day I was watching. This I just love this style.
Nice.
250.
We're getting towards the misfit area, huh?
So this one went for 27.5. That's not bad at all.
No, not too much.
That's something I could have picked up. Yeah, now we're getting to the last rounds here. It gets a little juicy. So we got Paddock Perpetual Calendar Full Ceramic. I like these watches. I don't like that if I hit it, it breaks. But beyond that, I like.
The problem with the ceramic is just like you're starting off at such a premium for like a case material that's just like it looks nice. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I don't get why I'm paying that much money for ceramic.
325. Or you could get this Octa Finissimo mini repeater in carbon for 81 grand. I'd rock that.
I would, but it just goes back to like paying for a minute repeater. I don't know. Like, I'm not interested in paying for a minute repeater from a brand that's not Patek or like somebody who's like Longa. Like you got to be in that range for me to want to pay that kind of money for a complication like that, personally.
I don't blame you. Now this kind of blue's kind of beat up.
Yeah, either that
Slab
or they took a
for 99.
bad photo.
Nah, it's grinded up. Doesn't look bad though. Actually looks interesting
Oh,
with a little
they
patina
did
on
it a favor by putting it next to the Your Work and the Ulysse Nardin.
it.
Like,
You don't like the freak?
well, I mean, no, the freak is all these three watches all had the same thing going for them, where it's like, hey, we want to make something for Cyberpunk 2077, but in 2025. Like, it's just the Jetsons should be wearing those watches. I love Diva.
So you wouldn't pay 145 for the work? No. All right. All right. We'll keep
Let
it
me
low.
tell you something about Urwerk, bro. I've never sold an Urwerk in my life, and I've never bought one in my life because nobody who owns one can sell one for the price that they think they're worth, and we can never sell it for the price we want. It is a tough brand.
You ain't lying. Oh, they have the Zenith. Who put the Zenith in there? It's over 32,000. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much in it. My wrap up thoughts of this auction is Paddock is still king. Rolex is still doing good. We're seeing independents, especially small independents like Crayon, do very well. Very well. You see some of the larger independents, Mojo did between MB&F a little bit softer in what's happening right now. But overall, the market's still healthy. It's humming along. You're seeing a lot of vintage pieces go a little bit softer than some of their estimates. But I think from what I'm seeing, people are still buying watches, and good, historically, horologically important watches are standing the test of time. You've seen all these Paddocks, go over their estimate or very close to their estimate. That is beautiful 3970E, and I just think it's just a lot of great watches to collect out there. Cartier as well, still doing super duper strong in most of the results here, and I'm just winding down to see if there's anything super duper particular that I want to talk about. I don't think there is. It's advanced research. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else you want to tell the people, Jay, before we head out?
After looking at these auction results, I would, echo the sentiment of buying what you love because if you buy because you think things are going to be worth something, you might be surprised. Unless you're buying Pat or Jorn or Rolex. But buy what you love when it comes to all the other brands. And don't let people's opinions sway you. If you really love it and you think you're going to wear it for years to come, get it.
Yeah, I'm jumping back. I'm gonna piggyback on that, and buy what you love. Feel free to reach out at cqthewatchguy.com if you need any independent watch advice. If you're looking to buy some stuff at auction, if you saw something at auction that you want to secure, not at auction, happy to help you out with that as well. And yeah, buy what you love. Most of the people who are in these auctions doing pretty well, making good gains, are people who just bought watches that they enjoyed from big brands or historically important brands. And I think if you stick to those trends, you'll be good. But no matter what, you'll enjoy what you wear. you'll enjoy what you have in your collection, and maybe you get into a genre situation or something else where something pops up. But I think going into it, never ever go into something thinking you're gonna make 4, 3, 5x, 6x. When I started in this game, everybody lost money on their watches, and we're kind of going back into that era where you're gonna lose a little bit. You might not lose everything, but you're gonna lose a little bit when you're selling or trading. And the quicker that we get, we us as a community realize that, we can just move on. We can move on. We can make the right buying decisions. You know what? You know your risk ratio, your risk tolerance, what you want to take, and you can kind of move on from there. But I'm CQ the Watch Guy. That's Jay the Retired Guy. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you give us a like and upvote, and we'll be back tomorrow, probably talking about the exports, what watches that might have been released that we missed this weekend, and we'll tell us what you want to talk about. You can comment, you can DM us, you can smoke signal, you can send a pigeon, let us know what you want to talk about, and we'd be more than happy to give you guys a shout and talk about it on the stream.
You could
Thank
have
you
said an
again.
owl or a raven. I don't think people send pigeons anymore. It's usually ravens
What
or
do you mean?
owls.
No, in New York they still do, like in Brooklyn on the rooftops, they're still doing
Uh,
the
Sorry,
the
I'm
whole.
living in my
See,
fantasy world.
you
My
see
bad.
that? Like Mike Tyson made a whole documentary. Mike Tyson made a whole. Thank you so much, Pooley.
Thanks,
Have a great
Pulley.
day. Come on, you let Mike Tyson down with that pigeon comment. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna get Jay educated on homing pigeons. See you tomorrow.
I don't want no pigeon.
Doc.